Childhood memory of India's Republic Day was a prayer that let it not fall on Sunday so we can miss school. Now that I have grown up a little bit, I was thinking what exactly is a republic? It gets complicated. There is representational democracy, proportional democracy, a monarchical republic, a constitutional republic, places where head of the state and head of the government are different like India or England or the same like United States. Means all of us can look it up in Google, Wikipedia and forget it even before we are done reading it. But we think that republic is a jolly good thing, like a democracy, majority rule, freedom of speech and all that jazz, right? Let me ask you a question. What do you think is Republic of China? You would say, oh, that's a catch question. That's not a democracy, right? No, it is. Republic of China is Taiwan, which is a democracy, which is not recognized, by the way, by mainland China, which is People's Republic of China. If you want to ignore something, emphasize it and get rid of it in the title, People's Republic of China. Speaking of which, I had visited China a few years ago. Wonderful ancient culture, fabulous people, down to earth, hardworking. I just have a problem with their governance. I flew from Shanghai to Toronto. I grew up in India, then in US. So you get used to freedom of speech and democracy. It's also very easy to get used to not being in democracy. In Toronto Air Canada Lounge, I asked the hostess, I want to look something up. How do I Google it? She said, just type it and hit search. In 12 days, I had not only forgotten how to Google, I had also forgotten the fact that I can use Google. So, these Western democracies, they love to rank India. Where does India stand in the index of democracy and all that? They have had their problem. Oliver Cromwell was a dictator, Cromwell in a British history. Franklin Roosevelt, though he stood for freedom, by his fourth term he was a virtual dictator. So US Congress later did the constitutional amendment to set the term limits. So we think democracy is a good thing, right? Majority rules. Well, what happens when the majority is wrong? In Mahabharata, Vikarna alone was fighting for Draupadi's honor. He was a minority amongst Kauravas, but he was right. In late 1600, Galileo was saying that the earth goes around the sun. The majority had the majority, but they were clearly wrong. So there are some checks and balances and some principles to protect the individual rights when the majority is wrong. I mean, some changes require just majority, simple majority, and some changes require absolute majority, two-third majority, thinking that if most people want it, it's probably right. So we think that democracy is good, right? Mostly it's not perfect. To quote Churchill, I don't want to quote Churchill on India's Republic Day, but I'll come to him in a different way. Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the other forms. Now, the maturity of the people in a democracy is also extremely important. Talking of Churchill, in 1945, he was the most popular person in England. He had just defeated Germany. Had he become Prime Minister again in 1945, India's independence in 1947 would have led to a war between India and England, and it would have had more bloodshed than the Civil War perhaps. So they had the maturity to bring Attlee, knowing that Britain cannot take care of the empire anymore, they need to get rid of it, and they got Attlee. Indian people have shown the same maturity. Indira Gandhi was very popular after the 1971 war. When things started getting a little out of hand in emergency, they defeated her. Then Indira Gandhi came back to power, and so did Churchill in 1950. So the democracy depends. It's not in definition. It lives in the people who live it. The people embody it. We enshrine those principles. And to paraphrase Benjamin Franklin, if we compromise a little bit of a freedom for a little bit of a security, very soon we'll be neither free nor secure. Happy Independence Day for India. It's not my position. I just had two pieces of advice for the ruling party and for the opposition. For the ruling party, two advices are: the people who oppose you, They are not all traitors. They love India in a different way. And second advice is, you also represent the people that didn't vote for you. For the opposition, my two advices would be, first, foreign policy ends, politics ends at water's edge. India cannot have two foreign policies, moon landing, whatever, get behind that. And second is, just because your name is opposition, your simple agenda cannot be opposing everything that the government proposes. It's not my place to say it. I can't help myself. Happy Republic Day to all of us. Dr. Ravi Godse.